Well, Jai Hind, everybody. I was looking at the countdown and matching the numbers. So I think we've got about 108 right now, an auspicious number. So let's begin this evening's session. It is on integration, integration of general knowledge. Now, whenever we hear general knowledge, the first word that comes to our mind is, anybody can answer? Ritika? Which word would come to your mind first when you hear general knowledge? Yes, Sonal Sharma has raised a hand. Yes, Sonal. Several Sonals have raised. Yes, Sonal.
Sir,
Sakshi.
knowledge about the surroundings, about, things that are going around us.
Okay, okay. Anything else? Any other word?
Sir, I have spoken. Should I repeat it,
No,
sir?
I got it, Sonal. Any other word? Have you heard of a word called quiz? So I think,
Yes.
all of us, whenever we talk of a
Yes.
quiz and a general knowledge, इन दोनों का चोली दामन का साथ है. Now, I was, a few years ago wondering कि भाई ये quiz शब्द आया कैसे? And there's a very interesting myth associated with, I don't know if anybody knows about it, but if you don't, all that you need today to do is just click immediately on your mobile phone and you will get the myth, which is about in 1791, there was a theater owner called Richard Daly, who, in one of his drunken conversations, took a wager with somebody and said, I can get a new word introduced into the English language in 24 hours. And there was a bet placed on it. So he took the bet. Overnight, what he did, he hired a lot of street children who perhaps, needed a little money, paid them a little amount and asked them to write the word quiz on the walls of entire Dublin. And by the morning, people were wondering what this quiz is all about. And this is a myth. I'm not saying that there is any evidence to. So the idea of a general knowledge integration, came with this idea that today we perhaps don't need general knowledge books. We don't need to teach general knowledge as a subject that we used to normally do. If Pushpi ma'am and Anupama ma'am will agree that people of our generation, when we went to school, I think all our general knowledge came from our newspapers or from the interactions that we had. In fact, in our days, we didn't even have those kind of televisions and channels that we have today. So general knowledge somehow was integrated into what we did day to day. But today, of course, with quizzing becoming a big sort of money making, with Kaun Banega Karodpati perhaps taking the cake on this, a quiz has become a big, and therefore perhaps the value of general knowledge has come in. Because if you check again, like our learning that happens, children who are brilliant at quiz perhaps are good at only in those streams for which they prepare. So what we thought, last year when integration is now the key word with art integration and sports and IT, why not integrate GK also? And so we did away with the books. How we did that, I have three pretty girls from my school who are going to make their presentation and show you how they've done it. So with your permission, Ekta, could I ask you to share your screen and take us through the activity?
Sure, sir. I would like to thank to this TPS family and for listening me, and I would like to thank our heads who gave me this opportunity to present on CC Friday. Now, as I have this one image on the slide in front of you. Wait a second, this is just loading. Yes, dear teachers, you all have most creative brains. Here is the activity with which will showcase your vision. As you can see your screen, there is an image. You have to use this picture in one of your subject topics to enhance the knowledge of your students. I'm giving you the link of Padlet. Please go on it and drop your answers for the same. I'm just dropping the Padlet link on the chat box. Dear teachers, please click on the link and reach to the Padlet and link your subject topic with this image, and how will you enhance the knowledge of your children on that topic? How will you correlate it? I hope everyone is
Ekta,
reaching there and can write. Yes, I can
yeah,
see.
Ekta, I think you should check the Padlet, or one of you can check the
Yes,
Padlet
sir.
also, and
Yeah,
maybe read out
it's
the
there in front of
answers.
me. Share the
Yeah.
screen.
Just check and see if you can find. Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, maths patterns. Describe the picture.
For English, yeah. Yes, for teaching colors, places around us, yes. That's data handling, yes. Symmetry, drawing graphics, picture talk. We can use different flags, yes. In subject, every subject, describe the picture in 100 to 120 words, yes. To ask them to write some lines related to the scene. Lovely answers. It's brilliant. So I can see beautiful and fantastic connections made with the picture. This is how we can build up the extended learning of any of the topics. This is not only enhancing the knowledge of a child, but also creating the interest. This not only knocks the interest of the child to learn the topic, but also helps him to retain it for a longer time. Definitely, these are the various ways in Hindi, English, EVS, mathematics, every subject we can use single picture and we can relate it to the topic and can enhance it for further extended knowledge. Thank you, thank you so much for giving and sharing your this creativity. Uh, Now let's move further with Ankita ma'am.
Thank you, Ekta ma'am. Namaskar. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the administration, principal sir, my coordinator ma'am, and the director sir for giving me this opportunity to present in front of the whole DPS family. I'll tell you, I'm very excited for this presentation, but nervous too. So kindly pardon me. We did make an effort while creating the presentation. Today, I'm here to throw some light on today's agenda. That is, why are we doing GK integration and what is the need of it? How are we integrating general knowledge to our curriculum, the methodology and the process? We'll be sharing few examples along with the evidence. So before we start, let's find out the meaning of general knowledge. As it is, next slide, ma'am. Yeah. As it is flashing on the screen, that GK means knowledge of a broad range of facts about various subjects. It is information that one has accumulated over time through various mediums. It excludes, please note, it excludes specialized learning that can only be obtained with extensive training and information. It's not confined to a single medium. Now the question arises, why GK integration? For your information, NEP 2020 talks about several things like holistic development of the child, integrated learning, developing 21st century skills, engaging the students, making learning enjoyable, inclusion of art and culture, and many more. To our surprise, GK is a standalone subject which is not to be taught anymore as the known facts are available on the click of the button these days. I hope you all will agree to my statement. As we all are preparing students for the vast competition for tomorrow, GK must be a part of each and every subject as per modern curriculum and need of the hour. Moving ahead, let me show some of the evidences from our different wings of our school how we integrated GK with our respective subjects. But before that, I'll just give an example like it is flashing in the screen where the root words of English came from our mother of a language that is Sanskrit. The examples are already quoted, is flashing on the screen. You can go over, you can just see over it. Now, I'd like to invite Ekta ma'am from primary wing to showcase their work of the tiny toddlers. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ankita ma'am. I will take you to the primary wing now. Small, little kids. I would say liberty cannot be preserved without general knowledge among the people. The integrated curriculum implies learning that is synthesized across traditional subjects, areas, and learning experiences that are designed to be mutually reinforcing. This approach develops the child's ability to transfer their learning to their settings. General knowledge sometimes are general knowledge sometimes that really helps us to grow both on personal as well as academic level. It narrows our sense of perceiving the world, understands and analyzes the situations better as one would without proper knowledge. The children of primary rank are very young and tender. We have to keep in our mind the interest and understanding of a child before we trust any GK integration of the topics. We do take the GK integration in our all the topics what we teach. Few are here as an example. So GK integration with English. Information about the extinct bird dodos was shared with students when the grammar topic was taught in class 2. Connection was made with its occurrence in the past. Class 1 when in class 1 when the poem How Many Seconds in a Minute was taught, where there is a talk about time, days and months. Information about the introduction of the first calendar to us was built. Same way, when we were dealing the topic articles in class 2, seven wonders of the world were communicated to them. Now GK integration with Hindi. In class 2, the chapter Mujhe Sone Do was done. In this chapter, there is a child who had the habit of sleeping late, which was later corrected by some of the tricks. Here, students were told the importance of sleep and the recommended amount of sleep at different ages to lead a healthy life. Children were quite inquisitive and calculated their own sleeping hours with the recommendations. They also compared the sleeping habits of their parents and siblings. इन क्लास 1 जब री की मात्रा बताई गई तब बच्चों को तत्सम शब्दों से भी अवगत कराया गया जिससे उनकी वोकैबुलरी भी बढ़ी. Now moving towards GK integration with maths. Here in class 2 with the topic multiplications, the multiplication trivia was told. It was then calculated and proven by the children. When dealing with chapter shapes in class 1, they were given the fact that most of the people say that the sheet of paper is rectangular in shape, which is not true. It's actually cuboid. Children were amused to know this. Also, while dealing with the topic data handling in class 1, the facts about the invention of the computer was unfolded. The 5 seasons of India and months in which they fall was primed to the students while dealing with the topic calendar in class 2. Now GK integration was also in EVS, and it is a very interesting subject where in each and every part there is something GK involved. So when the topic places around us was taught in class 1, children were also informed about Mundeshwari Devi temple in Bihar, which is considered to be the most oldest functional temple in India. In class 2, the video was shown to children where they saw various homes along with their names of different animals while dealing with the topic houses. Similarly, for the same topic, fun fact was also told about the houses of Mexico, where all the houses look like a Lego blocks. Shape, color, size, everything is similar over there. While dealing with topic air, children were informed about weathercock and loo, a kind of a harsh wind. Information about the largest fruit was given to students of class 1 while dealing with the topic food. There are various worth knowing facts and features related to the topic water, which was informed to children while executing the chapter water. Children were also taken, these are the various facts. Every time we dealt with the chapter water, we told them many facts about it. And we have also taken, children were also taken to the virtual tour of the sources of water where they saw and found the difference between sea, lake, river, stream and pond. This was done using the Nearpod tool. Now, GK integration was also done in GK, this stream lab activities. where when we were dealing the topic tower building challenge was taken up, was conducted. Tower building challenge here, it was conducted with the connect to the engineering. Here children were made little inventors. By trial and error method, they learned about how engineers work and how best strategies are invented. They were given the fact of Burj Khalifa being the tallest skyscraper in Dubai. These are the various ways we do in integration in classes 1 and 2. Now, Ankita ma'am will take you further for classes 3 to 5.
Thank you, Ekta ma'am. Okay, now I'm going to show some glimpses of our work which our team has done in junior wing for grade 3 to 5. Let's start with EVS. The teachers integrated animal life with GK by presenting some interesting facts about animals. Example, huskies can run at a speed of around 31 km per hour. The students were also asked to do some research work related to some interesting fact which they shared the next day. These are the work which the student shared. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Okay. Due to paucity of time, we won't be able to play all the videos which were played during our online class. They all were followed by the discussion in the class. Celebrating our mistake, the punchline given by us, Siddharth sir. And yes, we realized that the students of grade 3 could not grasp the concept of future transport, which we related with our travel and transport in EVS class. So this was the learning for all of us for choosing the age appropriate video wisely. Learning videos on how water reaches to our house, seed germination and balanced diet was shown in the class and discussion was followed with it. Moving further to maths, the teacher taught factors and multiples. Next slide, ma'am. The teachers taught factors and multiples with the help of Venn diagram and gave the basic information about it. Example, the concept was established by the British mathematician and logician John Venn. Department of Mathematics grabbed the opportunity to brief about the monument Rashtrapati Bhavan by the simple question from the topic lowest common multiple, that is LCM. Next, the teacher imparted knowledge about the tally marks used in different countries while using data handling and shared the facts with the students. Next slide, ma'am. This is my favorite, and I really like the concept of behind this. This is one of my favorite slide of my from my presentation. Grade 3 students learn to add by calculating the number of bones present in the parts of the body. Next slide, ma'am. We'll show an example of it. 8 cranial bones, 14 facial bones, and together 22 bones. For class 5, the students learned about different constellation by solving the worksheet on measuring of angles. The students were asked to find out any 5 constellation. A site was shared with the students in which they could see the constellation live. Examples. Next slide. Moving ahead to Hindi. Yeah. We must have all read the famous poem Pushp Ki Abhilasha from Makhalnath Chaturvedi, which is one of my favorite poem of childhood. The teachers integrated GK by informing about the national flowers of different countries. Example, pink roses from Maldives, jasmine from Pakistan, and so on. Not only these, they also integrated the chapter Pongal with the different festivals celebrated in our country. Students were asked to collect information about the different festivals and they shared in the class. Next slide, ma'am. While teaching the chapter APJ Abdul Kalam, the teacher imparted information about the different national leaders by showing the video in the class, followed by the discussion about their personality. Next slide, ma'am. In English 2, we showed the videos on gender and collective nouns, followed by a quiz given to the students to attempt. I believe that there is no age of learning. This is my thought, and we all believe in that. I learned the collective noun of crows while I was teaching to my kids. I hope you know the collective noun of crows. If you know, please write the answer in the chat box. Collective noun for crow. I'm waiting to get the answer in the chat box. Anyone? Great. One answer. Vibhuti, my yes? Absolutely correct. Murderers. So we also enhance our knowledge while teaching GK integration. We taught the chapter How the Sea Became Salty, which is a folk tale. We integrated GK by showing the video which depicted the scientific reason behind the behind the salty water of the sea. Properties of water were disclosed to the student, which enhanced their knowledge. The activity concluded with a Google form. Next slide, ma'am. These are the properties that was shown to the students. Next, ma'am. Few more examples like word search, riddles were integrated with the different topics of grammar. Next, ma'am. Lastly, as NEP 2020 section 4.27 focuses on inculcating knowledge of India among our students, video on Dandi March was shown to our kids that was integrated with the chapter GG Grandpa 2 that passed on the basic knowledge about the Satyagraha movement. To assess the knowledge, we gave a Google form with the basic questions related to India. I'd like to end up with the quote that often inspires me. Be a lifelong student. The more you learn, the more you earn, and more self-confidence you will have. That's all from my wing. I'll request Tulika ma'am to take us further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ankita ma'am and Ekta ma'am, for this wonderful session which is going on right now, and everybody is active here. We can see that. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to me to present and put us our efforts. Me, Tulika Chakravarti, I'm going to represent Varanasi Middle Wing and will showcase all the evidences that we have from GK integration grades 6 to 8. Two key elements that I believe should be there while we are enhancing our general knowledge or general awareness: observance, power, and presence of mind. By this far, we are already clear that we are talking about extended learning. We are talking about research-based learning. We are talking about investigation, and more importantly, beyond textbooks. So the first activity that I'm going to take up here, which checks on these two facts of observance as well as the presence of mind. For maths GK integration, for the class 7, we had taken this one. This is a flash quiz. And the name was interestingly given as 5-minute noodles. In here, we had a text, we had a paragraph that we just took it from some article, and it was about gender equality and the female population and some numbers related to it in percentages and ratios and those sort of things. And the students had to look at this. First 2 minutes were given for them to extract the informations from these and jot it down somewhere, so that the quiz that will be asked later, in the 3 minutes later, they will have to answer those. And they were very excited with this quiz, which was very interestingly named as well. The questions were designed specifically for taking the numbers into account, the percentages that were given, and they would definitely do some calculations. The teachers did not tell that what kind of calculations they can give or what kind of questions those were, but they knew that the informations were going to be there from the paragraph. So they were just mugging on that paragraph in the 2 minutes given. We had these evidences here. Most of the numbers that we have highlighted here, they got the correct answer because they calculated correctly at the same point of time. And the chapter that was going on was comparisons, percentages, and comparing quantities. One single challenge that we faced was with low achievers or the learners that we have, they're achieving. They were having a problem with the time that we had set for 2 minutes. So what we did later, we actually extended the time for those. We took it later and they could do that brilliantly as well. This is the second activity, which is very interesting. It is called as continentigers, and for class 6 we did this. It is the summation of continents and integers. Initially, every child knows that the graph, the map of the world looks like this, though it is a sphere, but when it is flattened down, it would look like this. But what if integral lines are placed upon this map? Could they identify that which continent would fall on which of the integral location? Giving us a hint for them, Africa was placed on 0, and they had to identify that which integer number would actually locate Asia, Australia, North America, South America on the right and left, and some of the chips were given to them and they had to drag and drop in an online activity. And this is the evidence of one of the child, where he has placed the integers correctly. Now, interestingly here, minus 1.5 is placed for North America, as you can see, and it is not an integer. So the child told us that, ma'am, this is not an integer, but I know that this is not even minus 2. So it is actually half of the distance between Europe and South America, so what it should be. So he thought that negative decimal numbers also exist, although these are not integers, but yeah. So mostly it was done brilliantly. Then we have this crossword, the next activity. It was done recently in the offline class, and the chapter that we are dealing with was data handling with mean, median, mode for class 7. And what we did is we took up a group. It was a group activity here. The students had to create their own simple small crosswords, and then later on they had to join together to make a big one. And one of the child, which was more tech savvy of the group, they had to collect the data and put it on a Google form to share with the whole class, so that the whole class can also be assessed. And there was a fun activity of final crossword looked like this. The last one from maths that I have here is extended learning, research-based. We know that whenever we talk about quizzing, GK, we talk about the facts. Did you know? Do you know this? Then you research upon that. You justify why the fact is like that. Then you give the name of the phenomena or whatever that you're studying, because the teacher is not going to give the concept beforehand. The child has to go through the investigation process and come up with their own phenomena. So this was about the triangles, that any two sides sum, if you take up, that should be greater than the third side. So this was the fact check for that. And added to this, there was a video, a small video, very small video was given to them, but the audio was chopped off. So they had to analyze what was going on, and they had to create their own evidences for that. And students did this brilliantly as well. Then moving on to English GK integration. Here, the chapter was going on black spot. The teacher asks students that write the synonyms for the words given in the picture and add your own imaginative picture to it. So we got several answers on this Padlet. I'll just read some. One child, Sanvi, says that the picture shows a source of light in the black, which motivates me. Another child says that the black spot is actually a symbol of disposition or death. So they came up with their own dimension of thoughts as to what this chapter may look like. At the end, they can create their own stories. The point for this chapter was definitely that death is inevitable and it is going to happen. So symbolizes that, and the students got those brilliantly. Even if you relate this to science, black is something which is the absence of colors. So absence of colors, that erases all the symbols of life. That is absence of life. And that is the opportunity and the discussions that took up in class basically just opened up a whole lot of door for the students to analyze as to what this story might be exactly, and the ending could be anything that they want it to be. Then another activity, it was from grammar. the teacher showed a lot of strips of the newspapers and asked them, what are these? And the students highlighted those kind of markings that the teacher had given, and they understood that that was passive and active. So active and passive voice was actually taken up in the class. Starting from this activity, they could understand that most of the newspapers and all the articles, mostly major part, we see passive voice and not the active voice. They actually understood that why this happened, because first of all, passive voice saves a lot of space. Secondly, what happens is that the news writers, when write something, they try to write it in a manner that not to put a blame on anybody, not to accuse. The accusation mode should not be on either on somebody, the victim or the perpetrator, as well as not on the journalist. So it just dismisses that, and that is what they understood from this activity. Then it was told it for the whole class. Later on, one more activity in English where helping nature was actually discussed, and they had to go ahead, find out some of the NGOs or social service institutions in Uttar Pradesh. They had to write about the contributions of these in their own words. That was mainly done for their writing ability. Then we move ahead to the science GK integration here. In class 6, it was going on. The chapter was sorting the materials. The teacher showed this video, and then they started off with the quizzing. Quizzing is something that students love the most after watching something, so they focus on that more. Then the teacher also told them that this is what we're going to do here, evidences that we collect from here, from the classes, and some rewards and prizes will also be given at the end. So they won, and that is how they were displayed here. Then we have one more science one, the extended learning. I really like the way that the teacher has created this one. I just took up this picture from their slide and put it here. Extended learning is something that we all need to know. This is what we are talking about in GK. So class 7 science, students were actually given this small, simple activity that all students can collaborate together and find out, research later that what are some of the cyclones that got up in the recent years, and what are their names, why they were named like that. So they had to research a whole lot of things before they could take up this topic. So they got variations of answers. Then we move on to the last science activity where simple, small phenomena were given, and students had to just find out that who were the discoverers and the inventors for those. So these are some of the evidences that we got from here. Then moving on to the Hindi GK integration. यहाँ पंक्चुएशंस को पढ़ाया जा रहा था, जहाँ चिन्ह हमारे पास है अल्प विराम, अर्ध विराम, पूर्ण विराम, ये सारे एक बहुत ही अच्छा लिखकर बच्चे ने यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है कि अधिकांशतः विराम चिन्ह जो आज हिंदी में प्रयुक्त होते हैं वो अंग्रेजी से लिए, हिंदी का निजी चिन्ह सिर्फ पूर्ण विराम है. This was something that even I did not know, and I just found out. It was really nice to know something. Then the chapter which was going on here, that was दादी माँ. यहाँ पर भी ऋतुओं के बारे में वर्णन है, तो बच्चों से कहा गया था कि वो ऋतुओं के नाम और उनके बारे में जानकर आए कि क्यों इनका नाम ऐसा है. तो ये सारे आंसर्स बच्चों ने यहाँ पर दिए. उसी तरह से नदियों के बारे में जब हिमालय की बेटियां चैप्टर पढ़ाया जा रहा था, वहां पर भी नदियों के उद्गम स्थल और शहर जो उनके किनारे बसे हुए हैं. हमारा शहर वाराणसी गंगा के किनारे बसा हुआ है, और बच्चों को इसको करने में डेफिनेटली बहुत मजा आया. Then social GK integration. This is the last part of my presentation. The teachers were taking motions of the earth, and they started off with the story of the sun, the moon, and the demon Rahu. Later on, I came up to the point where lunar and solar eclipses to this topic, and they asked to research about do's and don'ts and why it was like that. So we got those answers from them. They loved that. Lastly, this one, where the festivals, the Indian festivals from all the states were taught. They had to collect pictures and write that why the name of a particular festival was like that, and they had to give some of the informations. Even children went on to move into the television, the serials that they like the most, and they have put up these answers as well. So conclusion. As a conclusion, to sum it up, there are several key benefits of this approach that we can see here. Firstly, we see that higher signs of retention for the topics which are taken through research and general awareness. Secondly, these are far more engaging as the students are able to take up these firsthand with making the real life connections because they are researching and investigating themselves, of course. Lastly, the final key benefit that I would like to tell here is that students see the skills multiple times. What it does is it does create opportunity to implement the skills much often. This is exactly what is the meaning of integration. So hence, any kind of repetition of skills will lead to retention of information and ultimately towards mastery of the subject. So thank you for listening to me patiently. I thank our respected Principal Sir and Siddharth Sir for giving us this opportunity to showcase our best efforts on this platform. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you. Over to Principal Sir.
Yep. Thank you, Tulika. Thank you, Ankita and Ekta. You did a wonderful job. And I think, Ankita, you were nervous, but I think we didn't see any nervousness at all. You came through very, very confident young girl. So don't worry about your nervousness anymore. There was a very interesting collective noun for crows, which I think we all knew, murder of crows. It would be very interesting for us to see as to why they called it the murder of crows. Maybe this would be a GK question to integrate with this presentation, maybe once you get back. So I think I'll leave the house open to all of you. Those who wish to have any questions or any comments, if you wish to make. If you have the questions and you put them in the chat box, then maybe we can take them one by one. Or if you can raise your hand, then we can give you time to ask those questions. Yes, Mukti, you have a question.
Yeah. First of all,
Go ahead.
good evening all. Let me first of all congratulate all these young girls. They were fantastic, very good. And it was interesting too. Tulika, I have a question for you. They might be, of course, you're doing so well, but of course, in certain classes, you might be facing some kind of challenges when you are integrating GK with your mathematics. Do you face any challenges? And if you do, then how do you overcome with those challenges?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. We just think on the line of numbers and patterns mostly. And students just love to investigate about those. Just give them anything, any picture, and they would do that. Now, the challenge actually comes for the special learners. They're actually trying to achieve in that limited period of time. So that is the challenge. So how we are overcoming that? Using the asynchronous mode basically. And just putting it up for a longer period of time for them to comprehend, to research, and then come back with what they have. So yeah, so that is what we are doing.
Oh, okay, great. So do you think that when you are just giving these questions or putting this integration on your asynchronous mode, are the children coming up with those answers and you finding that there is a change in the children?
We are celebrating the mistakes first. And yes, there is a change. Of course, every time they become better and better because we are giving them an extended, period of time. So yeah, so we are helping at each moment. They can come to us. They are coming to us. They are asking every time they're putting up a message on the GC or somewhere as a comment, and we are just replying to that. So yeah, so that is happening.
That's great. So with sir's permission, we can also do one thing, just to motivate these children. If we can somehow appreciate or applaud these children, in the class, maybe, that their morale may boost further and they'll be in a better situation to answer in the class itself rather coming afterwards. So that's just a suggestion. Just see to it if you can work out.
Yeah. Thank you, Mukti. I'm sure the girls are doing that. In fact, when Tulika said, I think celebrating mistakes, that's a big way of motivating the kids. But yes, I think your suggestion is well taken. Thank you, Mukti. Anybody else with a question? I don't see anything in the chat box nor any of the hands coming in. All right. Meanwhile, I will invite Anupma ma'am to share her views on the entire presentation, and if she has anything to add as to how, we could make this integration a little better. Anupma ma'am, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. And congratulations to Ekta, Ankita, and Tulika. Wonderful presentation. I really loved the way you have integrated GK in all the subjects. GK is something like, the more a child seek, the more you will be able to get. And, it will also develop their reasoning skills, their analytical skills, like as you have mentioned already in your presentation. There were a lot of critical thinking questions also, which I saw. So absolutely wonderful. And I think some of the questions and some of the activities that you did, sure, are takeaways for all the teachers from the other two schools as well. I'm sure everybody is noting it down that this can be done in some other chapter that we will be teaching here in Nagpur or maybe in Nasik. So a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anupma ma'am. Any one of the girls, I think there is a question in the chat box. If you can share any one topic or incident where you were unable to integrate GK. I mean, we try and do it, yes, but not necessarily forcefully, we shouldn't be doing it. So if there's any incident or any topic where you think you could not integrate GK, and maybe from the open house here, if they can give us some hints on how we could do it in that particular subject. So this question is for any one of the girls, Ankita, Tulika, or Ekta.
So actually, while dealing with the small kids, the challenge which I face in dealing with my students is to decide upon what knowledge to impart related to the topic and subject, as our kids are too young to hold on heavy terms. We have to think about various diversions too, how they can relate to the things. Will they be understanding that topic? Will they be given the complete knowledge of it? So this is a small challenge that we face. Then we just have to shuffle upon our Google searches what can be the best GK integration that can be included to the topic, and then we move forward. This is what
Okay. Ekta, let me just rephrase what you said for the benefit of my own understanding. What you meant was that, yes, there is so much available, and what you need to give to that age group is something that is a challenge for all of you, right? Is that what you meant?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So then how did you overcome that? How did you decide, all right, with so much of information available, this is the information that I think we should give only? How did you do that?
So we know our kids, so we know that what games they are playing, what areas are interesting in areas which they find interesting. So we grab on those things like Doraemon, or these days it's a Minecraft, a big good game which has come up into their lives with this virtual world. So relating to that and relating to the cartoons and something which we can relate up to, because we are now very much connected to each of the child, as when we have come up on this virtual table. So we were also talking every time to the parent, what are the behaviors at the home, what is he behaving in the class. So we are now very much well woven with the child. So this helped us to know that better.
I think, Ankita, I like the word. There's a key word that you said, relatable to that age group. I think that's the key word for integrating knowledge there. Wonderful. Any other questions? Or would Tulika like to share something, or Ankita, just like Ekta has done? An area where you...
Yeah, just sharing.
Okay. Okay, Tulika ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, so just sharing that as the question came, which topic did we feel that we could not integrate? Honestly speaking, we have tried the chapters we have tried on, we have been able to do that. That's the first thing. Maybe in the later phases, we could face that. One challenge that I and the teachers have actually faced is that For the higher grades, for the upper grades, we have to give them tasks just before telling them some topic as to investigate, maybe from the newspapers, that they have to watch it, they have to do research on things and articles and everything. So sometimes there's an objection from the parents as to why not just keep it to the books, and why that much time they are spending here and there and now and then. So that is one challenge for the upper grades, especially for the time constraints and all, why they are doing that much. That is one question. No, we also did overcome that somehow, how we think as progressive teachers. These days we are having this SLC PTM in our schools, where the student-led PTMs are happening, and the students are actually collecting all the evidences and the records, whatever they have done, whatever they have been given, and they have found something useful. They are putting it up, documenting it, and they are actually telling the same thing to the parent and discussing about it. So that is something that the parents will see that later someday. So they should not be worried about that. That is how we did overcome that.
Thank you, Tulika. Ankita, you have anything else? Otherwise, I'll ask Anupma ma'am to ask her question.
Yes. Okay, I just want to answer. Sir asked me an incident. So definitely, being a like we are teaching grammar, we find it very difficult to correlate with GK, to relate grammar with GK. So it was very difficult. We were teaching nouns and parts of speech. So all of a sudden, we got an idea. Okay, let's give a riddle. So anyhow, this was something that we managed there. That anyhow we gave a riddle activity for the kids just to pick it for previous knowledge, to assess their previous knowledge. And it was difficult for us that time because in the month of April, we just got to know that we have to integrate GK in our curriculum. So thoda sa hua tha, but for literature chapters, we are easily doing. So that was
Okay.
that was
I think
we found
one
it difficult.
takeaway from what you said, Ankita, is that, when you start doing something initially, you always will face a challenge, but as you kind of overcome that,
Yes.
you will build your confidence and, grow in. So I'm sure the journey has been great learning for each one of us, initially that, yes, you found it difficult with parts of speech or with grammar, but you were able to overcome that. I think with that, that's what the growth mindset is all about then. Right. Anupmaji, please go ahead with your question.
I don't have a question. I just want to add to what Ekta has said. The teachers are no more teachers. They are now facilitators. The role has completely changed. So they are the ones who are going to, tell the children how to discriminate the information that is available. So what is appropriate for that age group is something that the teacher is going to, allow the children to take. So that is what I wanted to add after what Ekta said.
That's a very interesting observation. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Dutt, would you like to share your views on the presentation or anything else you would like to add?
Yeah. First of all, congratulations to Ekta, Tulika, and Ankita. All the CC Fridays, some or the other team do a wonderful presentation. There's a lot of learning outcomes. But believe me, this general knowledge has always been very, very close to my heart. Because I'm a voracious leader, and even though in my childhood, the vegetables which came in on envelope or anything, I would slit open that, or at the dining table, even I would read that up. So we assimilated so much of information, even from trash. The different activities that you people presented, the crossword kind of thing, the first picture which Ekta shared, how people could use the flags and the geometrical say. So there's so much of perspective you are giving through this GK to the children, that every child, though there will be a bang on answer, but again, each can perceive to his liking or to his understanding. So again, in GK integration also, you are giving the freedom to the children to express through their own comprehension, which is great. Coming to Anupamaji's observation, that yes, teachers today are facilitators, and instead of spoon feeding the children. We must let them explore. Pre-knowledge or in between or post that lesson. Giving them everything on a platter is not a very sensible or the way to impart education to children anymore. In our times, teachers had the answers to everything with the constraints, but today Google has everything at the click of a button. Children perhaps know more than us. So we should give them the freedom to explore before the subject, in between the chapter, and also at the end of it. So today's presentations, I really liked it from my heart, and wonderful learning, I'm sure, for all put together. We are just about to end, and I have quick 3 questions for people, general awareness. Let me see how. And first one will get a perk whenever you come to Nasik.
Sure, ma'am. I'll try and get one. I hope it's open to principals also, ma'am.
Yeah, please. You'll get a dairy milk. I'll say a particular line or a quote, and anybody can unmute and say it fast. Okay? Who said this? I'm sure this would have been done by all the campuses. Who says this generally?
Siddharth Rajgiria?
Anybody else? Jaldi.
Gautam sir.
भैया थोड़ा नीचे उतर आओ सीढ़ियों से.
Okay.
Ma'am, you say all the most of the time.
Principal.
You also say this.
Sunanda,
Principal, ma'am.
Yes, it's me. Okay. The next line or tagline. मोटा मोटी मेरी समझ में ये आया है.
Principal sir.
Siddharth sir. This is Siddharth
Who
sir.
said Siddharth sir? Who said first? Kritika.
Siddharth sir, I said.
A lot of you. Okay.
Pushpi ma'am, I'll get a chocolate now.
Yeah, you can go on writing it. I owe you. But the terms and conditions are a visit to Nasik.
Ma'am, even I answered.
The next tagline is, see, I have been talking about it for a very long time, और ये concept हम पढ़ाते रहते हैं, बोलते रहते हैं. इनका चोली दामन का संबंध है.
Mukesh sir.
I'm so happy our teachers are so observant.
Yes.
This was just on a lighter note before we close, and I'm sure the parting shot will be again from Mukesh sir. Over to you, sir.
No, ma'am. I think you've shot all of us down, that there is no energy left for a shot anymore. Anyway, great. I think it was a wonderful evening. Unless, of course, there are any other questions or observations that someone would like to make, we could end on this parting note. No, I think there are no voices or no hands that I see, or nothing in the chat box. So, all right, great weekend. Enjoy, all of you. Have a great evening ahead also.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you so
Varanasi.
much.
Wonderful.
Thanks.